Hello there, and welcome to everybody at all the ships at sea. My name is Christopher Helton, but you probably already know that. Um, and I'm going to be talking about some books and games and things, and coming to you live and direct from the spacious Dorkland um, office, which is the front bedroom of our apartment. And so, if you don't know who I am, for when this video eventually ends up out on the wider internet than just this little broadcast, you can see me online. You can find me on Twitter at Dorkland. And we're going to talk about a few things. One of the limitations I had when I decided I was going to talk about some of the things that I'm, reading or listening to or what, was that I don't buy a lot of physical media. So that meant that I didn't have a lot of things I can flash on screen. So I'm just going to have to make do, I guess. I'm going to start with a short story collection, and I'm only just starting to read this. It's called, there we go, it is called Hex Life, and it is Wicked, New Tales of Witchery, and I'm not used to this whole camera thing yet, edited by Rachel Autumn Deering and Christopher Golden, and it has a really, really impressive and long list of authors, as you can see. I'm a big Kelly Armstrong fan, so she's one of the reasons I picked this up. Kat Howard is also really good. If you're a comic fan, she's the one who's been writing the new Books of Magic comic that DC Comics is doing in the Sandman universe line of books. But yeah, it's all stories about witches and things. So I suggest checking it out. Oh dear God, I've got people watching me already. It's probably not the volume. It's just that for a change, I'm talking quietly. So a couple of important tips in this time of viruses, of course, and this isn't a endorsement, but remember to use your hand sanitizer and remember to wash your hands. So next on the list of things is I've been doing some I should I'm going to I'm writing a series of settings, mini settings, micro mini settings, as the technical term, I believe. And for it's gonna take me forever to do this, right? Tiny Supers. This is a game from Gallant Knight. This is the back cover, provided I get it lined up right. I'm writing some micro settings for them, and you should definitely check it out. They've got a zine called Tiny Zine that they put out on a more or less monthly basis that's paid for through their Patreon, which I don't have information for, so I can't really put that up right now. But they also then release each issue through Drive-Thru RPG, and I have 3 settings in the can right now, each exploring a different type of superhero game setting that mostly is me ripping off concepts from comics that I read when I was a kid and have that really aren't quite as popular nowadays. But if you like superhero games, and still not getting it lined up right, if you like superhero games and you'd think I'd know my left from right by now. And you like a good, easy, minimalist game, check out Tiny Supers. So, and if you are, for some weird reason, enjoying this broadcast, I have a way to take virtual tips, and I'm going to now hit my my computer graphics. That'll show you how you can send a tip to me. If you go to, it's coffee, but it's ko-fi.com/dorkland. You can tip me the price of a cup of coffee. And now we're going to scroll it slowly down the screen. Slowly down the screen. Okay, so here's a shout out to Erica, who said that they should have guessed what color shirt I was going to wear. There's really not a lot of choices in that. It's pretty much either black or red, I guess. So if at any point you have a weird question and you want to have me address it, pop it into chat, and if I happen to notice it, I will talk about it. And I'll also take this as a point of time. I will hopefully stop touching my hair. I will talk a little bit about, in case you don't know, I have a Patreon, and I am funding the development of my fate-based paranormal romance role-playing game called Paranormal Friction. I also have a fancy computer graphic for it, which you will see slowly scrolling up on the screen any minute now. Any minute, and oh, look, there it is. Patreon.com/dorkland. I think our chroma key operator is a little drunk, and he can't seem to get these things lined up, but he does seem to be okay with getting it scrolling on and off the screen. So, so like I said, I've got the Patreon. If you're not familiar, paranormal romance really is it's kind of like urban fantasy, but with more romance, I guess, hence why romance is on the tin. And I've been working on this game for a number of years and started the Patreon for it last year. And I'm up to like the third revision of the rules currently. And actually this week I was going to be doing a, and now I can't stop touching my face. For those of you in more normal parts of the world, it is actually ungodly hot in Florida right now. So I'm going to, there we go. It has gotten ungodly hot in Florida right now, so it makes being stuck in the house even more fun. So, but anyway, I've been working on this game for a few years, and it's basically sort of the kind of stuff that I read, the kind of stuff that I'm interested in, and I decided that since nobody else seems to be doing it, that I would make a game out of it. So, yes, I've infected my face. It's unfortunately, fortunately, I guess, Sean, there's only so much of my face to work with in the first place. So, I wonder if I can. Let's see if I can. Nope. Unfortunately, I can't. I don't think I don't know if these things show up on screen or not. But um, anyway, and also my glasses are crooked because my head is apparently crooked. So, but yes, and I'll have the chroma key guy scroll it up onto the screen once more. So remember, patreon.com/dorkland. And from there you can find my paranormal romance game. I really like it. I ran it. I started running it again back in the fall at a couple of conventions that I was guesting at. So it it's I think it's going to be a really cool game. I'm talking to some people about publishing it, and we'll see what happens. Um, so now in I guess what will be the final segment, um, I'm going to talk about some of the comics that I'm reading at the moment. Like I said earlier on, I ran into a thing. I can't really flash a lot of stuff on screen because most of the comics I read anymore, I read in a digital format. Either I buy a lot of stuff on Comixology. I use the Humble site a lot. Actually, I just bought a big manga bundle on Comixology. But so some of the few physical comics that I've been reading lately, and I'll have our graphics guy flash this one up on screen. First up is Wonder Woman 750. I got the Adam Hughes cover. There we go. That's a little less screen glare, or not. Anyway, I got the Adam Hughes cover. This is the 80th anniversary of the Wonder Woman character, and they've gone back to legacy numbering. It's a really good issue. It's got some really fun stories. Some of the things are out of continuity. Some of the things, there's a lead-off story that starts from or continues what was the current storyline. Unfortunately, that writer has been replaced, and that means that storyline is now no longer important. But it also has the what was supposed to be the next big story event, which was going to be a new continuity change, and was going to have Wonder Woman debut as the first superhero in the DC universe. For those historically minded or not historically minded, may not realize that is the Trilon and the Perisphere from the New York World Fair of, I think it was 1938. But it has Wonder Woman as the first superhero debuting in World War II. So, but it was a really good book. It was kind of mixed bag. Some of the stories were better than others. There's one story that is really particular. There's a bombshell story that was really good. The World War II story actually was kind of disappointing. There's a really good story with Cheetah that I enjoyed. Now, my next two comics that I have physical copies of, these are both things that I had funded via, I think actually these are both, one is a Kickstarter, one was Indiegogo. But these are both things I did via crowdfunding back in the day when I still had a lot of money for doing that sort of thing. The first one is, you've probably seen me talk about. This is Professor Dario Bava. It's a sort of a love letter and tribute to the old school Italian horror comics and Italian horror movies of the 60s and 70s. The character's name, in fact, is a tribute to two of the big time Italian horror directors, and it's a really good comic. I've really been enjoying it. It's a nice. This is here. Whoops. That's what I meant to do. There's the back cover. Nice little werewolf there, and as you can see, if I can get it lined up, that it's a pretty hefty volume. I've shared on my social media buying information. This cover is actually this is one of the variant covers. This is by a guy who's one of the big names of Italian horror comics. So, um, but it's been a really cool ride. Actually, it's been giving me some gaming ideas, so that's pretty cool. And then the other one is actually another horror comic. This is called Deadbeats. I got this a few months ago. This is really good, and it's cool. It's kind of a throwback to if you, like me, if you were a fan of a lot of the horror anthology books that companies like DC and Marvel put out back in the 70s and 80s. I think you'll like Deadbeats. It's got that same sort of that horror show vibe that a lot of the those comics of that period tried to put out, tried to give out. It's really good. Plus, I mean, it's about music. It's about a haunted record store. So, I mean, how could I not be interested in something like that? So, now I'll have once again, I have our top flight computer graphics guy hit the chroma key. If you are interested in this seen and heard immunity, drop me a tip on coffee.com, and I'm gonna try to do this probably once or twice a week for the next couple of weeks. I think either do one at the beginning of the week, like Monday or Tuesday, another time at the end of the week, and who knows, I might even start having content that makes some sort of sense. Once again, if you want to follow me on social media, you can go to the Twitters and find me at dorkland.com. And we will call this one for this week. Thank you for all of those who tuned in, which turned out to be a lot more people than I thought it would be. And we'll see you all on the other side. And good evening to everyone and all the ships at sea.